morning to you all. And thank you for joining us here today at the third day of the Interclean. I hope you are sitting comfortably. And today we are going to talk about the environmental impact of recycled fibers and other fiber types, because we want to inform you why recycled fibers can be decisive in climate protection. Hygiene papers, toilet papers, paper towels. It's a product that is very often seen and considered as a commodity, as a low interest product. We are not thinking about hygiene papers. As long as they are there, we are fine and we are not complaining. But is this really the right way to go forward? Even in professional business areas, we are today here at the Interclean surrounded by hygiene professionals, and still we see that hygiene papers are not the main topic of conversation. But is that the right way? Just think about it. On average, we use about 12 kilos of toilet and paper towels per person per year. That doesn't seem like a lot, but if we make it a little bit more tangible, we are now in the Netherlands, where we are with 17 million people. If we calculate how many hygiene papers we would need to accommodate for the whole of the Netherlands, that would be 204 million kilos of hygiene paper every year. And those fibers need to grow somewhere. They need to come from somewhere. They need to be produced. And in order to protect our environment, and we as tissue manufacturers, we have a very large dependency on fibers like renewable resources and water, we need to do things differently. And today I want to engage you with this message to see if we can together make change in our industry. And think twice the next time when we are consulting our customers about hygiene papers. Like I said, our industry, our tissue industry, it's for a large part linked to major influences of climate change. Talk about loss of biodiversity or global warming. This is caused by intensive land use and deforestation. Things we don't want to contribute to, things we want to minimize, but let's be honest, those things are happening, and it's really, really awful to see how we are treating our own living environment. Because we have to realize ourselves, if we want to change our behavior, if we want to protect the earth, it's to protect ourselves, to protect our own living environment. Why shouldn't we do that? If we look at the European tissue market, we see that for about 70% of the European tissue market is still based on virgin wood-based fibers. Fibers that are grown somewhere, that need to be produced, they are harvested and then used in single-use products like toilet paper. Let's be honest, we only use these products once, and in fact even for a few seconds. Why should we use valuable resources in these products? They have a very huge impact on the environment. This is something we need to do different. We can be more smart. And that is why we want to engage our industry to transform together, to focus on recycling fibers. Fibers that are already here in what we call the technological sphere. They don't have to be produced anymore. They are here. And if we do that, we even want to stimulate the cascaded use of fibers. Because we need a certain inflow of fresh fibers, of course, to have recycled fibers available in the end. But let us be so smart to use these fresh fibers first in high-end products with high recycling loops. I believe in Europe the recycling rate of paper grades is a little bit more than 70%, so that's quite good, and we should take advantage of that. Because if we work like this and use recycled fibers in the end of their life cycle for hygiene papers, we can minimize the pressure on land use. Tissue manufacturers should really move away and navigate away from using so much traditional virgin wood fibers and use more and more recycled fibers. This illustration gives in a nutshell the picture what I just explained to you. On the top you see the situation in the 70% of the cases where the fresh fiber is used in a linear way, and resources are wasted in the end when the fiber is used in the single-use product. At the bottom is a picture of this cascaded use that I tried to explain, where the fresh fibers are used first in products like books, magazines, then in high-end packaging, in cardboard, as much as possible, because we know that a fiber can be reused. It can be reused many times, but 7 times is achievable. And if we do it like that, then we make a maximum use of our valuable resources, and we minimize the pressure on land use. We are a tissue manufacturer, and we have to take responsibility. We are very high intensive users of energy, of water, and of raw materials. And what I want to point out now is we are going into why recycled fibers are better for the environment than virgin wood fibers. And that's because of a few things, a couple of things. First, we are looking at the energy demand. Many people ask me sometimes, yes, if you go into recycling, you use a lot more water and energy to clean the recycled fibers in your paper making compared to a virgin fiber. That might be true, but we have to look at the whole value chain of where the fiber is produced, when it's coming from the land until it's rolling out of the factory as a toilet roll. And if you look at this total value chain of the fiber, you can see that the virgin wood fiber needs much more energy, because it needs to be taken out of this tree. The cellulose needs to be turned into pulp. And this uses in total around 6 times more energy than a standard recycling fiber. From the cradle to the grave, right? So this is the first indicator why recycled fibers have a lower environmental footprint. And that's due to the several processes related to the pulp making, which are now listed on the screen. Then we go to the next indicator, and that has to do with water. The same story, only now we can tell you that a virgin wood fiber needs around 7.5 times more water than a recycled fiber. And this is, of course, again, a very huge difference. And it has to do with several processes, again, like when you are dissolving and taking the cellulose out of the product, the use of the chemicals, the bleaching process, these things. And this is, of course, already very, very obvious now, very logical to move to recycled fibers. But what's even more important is the land use impact. It is something that we not often stand still with, but please take this as an eye-opener, that it's not air pollution or water pollution or CO2 emissions from the global warming potential, but it's the land use impact and the biodiversity loss that have the largest influence on the fiber footprint. For us, this is not just a stomach feeling or common sense. We rely on this life cycle analysis, which is done by Carbotech. This is a Swiss company who are experts in life cycle assessments, and they benchmarked several fiber types on a certain ecological scale. They use the method of ecological scarcity. And the more impact you have on the environment, the more eco points it's given. As you can see here on the screen, the wood-based virgin fiber has a much higher impact on the environment because of the whole value chain that I just explained to you. But what's so remarkable is this light blue part. This reflects 58% of the fiber footprint, and this has to do with the land use. The land that can only be used once, and we are with so many people on this earth. We all need food. The animals need to be fed. We need to create materials. So tissue manufacturers don't want to be in the competition with other companies that need the land. So it's even more logical to move again to recycled fibers. And they are decisive in climate protection. If we look at what we as an industry can do for the environment, the footprint of recycled fibers is about 70% smaller than that of virgin wood-based fibers. And then there's regulations coming. So I'm going to make a little bridge now. Regulations are going to remedy, maybe it's a good word, to deforestation, climate change, everything that is going on around us. But it's also still very vague. And today we want to shed a light what the deforestation legislation might mean as well in the same topic in virgin wood fibers versus recycling fibers. The goal of this deforestation legislation is to avoid that any products enter the European market that have a background with illegal deforestation or forest degradation. We don't want to contribute to that. And for this reason, the legislation will request a lot from the pulp producers, the manufacturers of the tissue, but also the traders, even the resellers of hygiene papers. There's a lot of work coming at all of us because we have to do a lot of reporting. Because the legislation will request from us that we only put products on the market where we can prove that they have not contributed to illegal deforestation or forest degradation, where we can prove that they are produced in compliance with the local legislations of the country where the pulp is produced, and that we can cover all the reporting related to it. And what I can tell you right now, because many things are still vague, there is a lot of work coming at us. Like I said, a lot of information needs to be collected, and we need to be reporting, we need to create transparency, and also to give information about the risk of deforestation. So how we are all going to do this, I don't know. I think we have to work together in the industry. The pulp people need to be supplying information to us. We need to be supplying information again to the traders, to the wholesalers. It will be a lot of work. What I find really good, but also remarkable and challenging, is that if we are talking about a fresh fiber product, a virgin wood fiber product, that we need to be able to report for this article where the tree was harvested, on which day, on which plot, and even which timing, to prove that it was legal harvesting. This goes so far, and I think this is again for me also a confirmation that we want to move more to recycling fibers. Then we can skip all this administration and focus on the products that don't need all of this. Like I said, it's still a lot unknown. We do know that the German paper industry network will have next week, I believe, yes, more feedback to give to the European Commission, because these kind of networks, they can give feedback on the proposed legislation, on the proposed details. So we expect more news later this year. Please be aware, if you are in the tissue industry as a reseller or a trader or a wholesaler, that you need to be prepared in your organization if you keep selling virgin wood fibers products, that work is coming. So we are reaching now almost the end of my presentation. I hope I could open your eyes with my story, with my message, but not only with maybe my passion and my engagement, but also with the facts that I showed you, the life cycle analysis and the proof that we have to follow in this direction. Because, yeah, we have to protect our own habitat. Because I would really like that we work together, that we avoid deforestations that are as large as soccer fields. Just imagine that a company with like 1,000 employees, you need about 3 soccer fields per year to fulfill or to provide for the fibers they need for the hygiene papers. And just think about what it could mean for all the organizations in Europe that we have to provide for. So summarizing, why do recycled fibers outperform virgin wood fibers on the ecological point of view? They use far less energy in the total value chain, far less water. They have the smallest fiber footprint, with about 70% smaller than the virgin fiber, which contributes enormously to minimizing the pressure on land use. They are local, they are already there. The politics stimulate also the use of recycled materials. We see in several European countries that there will be a fiber taxation on products that single-use products that contain virgin wood fibers. And I expect that this will be adopted in more European countries. So from the ecological, the political, but I hope also from a personal and intrinsic point of view, I could convince you that recycled fibers are the way forward. And with that, I would like to close my presentation, and I can take your questions if you have any.